So, Michael, we on Select and Reflect are about to start a very special section of our calendar, I guess. Our next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies are all going to be from what year, Michael?
2002. I don't know about you.
But I'm feeling 2002, yeah. 2002, what a great year it was. And you know what, I thought we'd just play a little bit of music from that era to get us in the zone, you know.
Oh, good.
This is, can you... So yeah, 2002, Michael. What do you remember from this year?
Oh, I remember all of the Nelly songs that were being played. I remember us, the world, recovering from the trauma of 9/11.
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, 2000, that's the millennium. 2001, that's 9/11. That's what happened there. But 2002, the vibes were great. Remember,
especially in Al-Qaeda Central. Yeah. I bet Bin Laden was bopping to this. Yes, we did it. We blew up the World Trade Center.
Yeah, of course, the Iraq War was 2003. So yeah, this was decent. Yeah, and of course you could forget the World Cup in South Korea and Japan, featuring a very special footballer, of course.
Oh yeah.
Which is?
I suppose it would have to be that famous football player, Mr. Bendit.
Mr. Bendit. Okay, that's enough of that. Yeah, so 2002. Honestly, one of the first years I ever remember being in. It's 2002. So yeah, respect.
I remember watching the World Cup in my primary school. I remember we came in early or I don't know, they were showing it on the TV in the school. Classic times.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff.
It's coming home.
We love the year 2002. We really do.
Good rhyme. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past, we give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke, and this week we are celebrating the 20-year anniversary, if you can remember from the cold open not that long ago, of Bend It Like Beckham, and not Beckett Like Bendham. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Bend It Like Beckham?
Yeah, Michael, did you tell the audience why we're doing Bend It Like Beckham?
Oh, sorry. Also, doig, because it is the start of the football season.
Yeah, and also it's 20-year anniversary.
Yes, I did actually mention that.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. No,
that's okay. I'll forgive you.
Yeah, I just don't think we've mentioned it enough that this movie came out in 2002. And, it's 20 years.
No, yeah, I do agree with you. It is worth stressing.
Yeah. Anyway, so Bend It Like Beckham. Oh, well, you say, Michael, we are doing it because of the start of the football season. Of course, what we mean by that is the men's football season.
Yes.
Which is kicking off very soon. But of course, also, the women's Euros are going on right now. And again, I didn't know the women's Euros were going on right now. We are recording this before the final between England and Germany. But yeah, I guess we can say we did it for that, right?
Yeah, because we're woke.
And of course, this movie, is about women's football, so it'd make more sense to base the movie around women's football. But anyway, so basically, football is either starting or ending, with a final or the start of a brand new season. So yeah, Bend It Like Beckham, which is a 2002 sports comedy drama film directed by Gurinder Chanda from a screenplay by Chanda and Paul Maeda Burge, and Gujat Bindra. The film stars Parimda Nagra, Keira Knightley, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Anupam Kher, Juliet Stevenson, Shaznay Lewis. Oh, that's a cool name, Shaznay Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that name. She's the black girl in it, I think.
Ah, that's a good name.
Yeah. The one with the big tits that bounce up in her face.
Yes.
That's a line from the movie.
No, it's not a line from the movie. That was your internal monologue. You just get it confused.
Yes, and also, she's a goal scorer. She scores goals. She's very good. So, I don't want people to think I just took that from the movie.
No, yeah.
She's a good football player as well. And, her character is, of course. And Archie Panjabi, which is another very interesting name. Archie Panjabi. So,
yeah.
So, anyway, Michael, this film was released on the 12th of April in what year?
2002.
The greatest year ever. And it was actually released almost a year later in the United States in 2003. But yeah, so obviously we're a bit off its 20-year anniversary, but of course, it's the football season is either starting or there's a final going on, so it makes sense to do it now. And Michael, can you tell me what the budget is for Bend It Like Beckham?
Right, so if you tell me it's more than double this, I won't be surprised, but I also won't be surprised if you tell me it's less than double this. I thought about this a bit beforehand, but not much. I'm thinking, okay, ready, 2 million.
Okay, you have got a mark against you.
Right, and literally, again, the thing is, I don't know which way it's going to be. I would assume over, because less than $1 million for 2002 seems like... But yeah, I'd be interested to know, because I didn't think anyone in this film was like that big of an actor. And I also don't imagine this film would have been that expensive to make.
Let's not forget, Michael, Keira Knightley appeared in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, she did. See, I was thinking of Pirates of the Caribbean, which I don't know when that came out, but...
Well, yeah, after.
I think that came out after, because that's the thing. I was thinking to myself, oh, Keira Knightley, she's famous for being in Pirates of the Caribbean. I'd kind of forgotten about Star Wars.
Yeah, so you have gone under, Michael.
Yeah.
For this, because the correct budget was $5.6 million.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, so yeah, obviously you guessed $2 million, so yeah, you are incorrect on that. You guessed less than half, but you guessed less than half on the box office. What do you think Bend It Like Beckham made at the box office, Michael?
I think this film made a decent amount of money, and there's one reason I think that, which is, obviously, loads of people know this film. I've seen this film before. You've seen this film before. I was surprised to hear. I
haven't seen this film before.
Oh, haven't you? I just kind of assumed.
Up until this year, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So obviously it's referenced in The Simpsons, meaning that it was culturally relevant enough to be referenced there. And then also when I mentioned it to my fiance, I was like, oh, I'm watching this. And I was kind of just talking about it, assuming she'd never seen it before. But she was like, oh yeah, I've seen it before. So I was like, wow, so even she's seen it, and she wouldn't seem like the kind of person who would have watched some British film about football. So all that makes me think, all this makes me think like it must have done numbers, surely. Like, how can so many people know about it? Now, having said that, okay, I'm not going crazy. Like, obviously, it's not like the blockbuster of the century, but I think it must have made into the double-digit millions, 40 million.
Oh, Michael, you're very lucky. See, here's the thing: you talk up about how this movie
made money, and I undershot it.
You undershot it by almost half.
Yeah,
because the box office is $76.6 million.
Oh, okay, wow.
So of course, if you went less than half, that would be of course 38. So you just get 2 million above that. So well done, Michael. You survived getting a mark into your name. That could have been a classic double less than half from you, but you just survived. So yeah, you clearly hate this movie. You don't think anybody would invest money in it, and you don't think anybody would go to see it, really.
That is true.
But so, tell me, whether is that suspicion correct, Michael? Did you like this movie?
You know what? I will say this. I think this film... Well, I was thinking about it. I was like, this film is a competent melodrama. Like, there is a lot of, like, just kind of drama that's just like they really do make sure to hit everything. Like, every single person has, like, some kind of almost relevant kind of tragic backstory. There's like almost everything that would be kind of in like melodrama is the only word I can think for it, just like very kind of over the top. But the thing is, I say competent, and of course that's because like I think it does work in that way. Is it like some kind of fantastic nuanced subtle film? And not really, but I do think as like just a melodrama that hits kind of all the right points in terms of the backstory and the motivations, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. The character had a relatable and sympathetic motivation. Lots of well-rounded, well, not, I don't know, maybe not well-rounded, but well defined characters. It was good.
Yeah, I think this is a good movie. Here's the thing: I can understand why this movie was like a mini phenomenon. Why are we reviewing a movie that came out obviously 20 years ago and only grossed $76 million at the box office? What is, I think, very special about this movie is it's like a sports movie, which is done well, and it's like you say, it's competent, it's good, and also there's a lot of other stuff going on in it. Like, it's just unfair to say this is a sports movie. It really is. There's so much more to it than that, which we'll get into. But Michael, how many nitpicks do you have?
I have a grand total of 2. So the first one is, I just don't think her burn is very noticeable. Like, it's kind of a big deal, but like, I'm not going to say that I watched it on like the super kind of HD Blu-ray on the widest screen I could, but it was actually quite difficult for me to even pick up on it. And I do think like in reality, I mean, I've seen people who I know personally who have like kind of burns somewhere because it's just a thing that kind of happens. And, I just don't think it's the kind of thing which actually, like, if you actually have a burn, I feel like most people are just like, yeah, okay. And then how was the mum able to hear the makeup comments so clearly, but not any of the rest of it? Of course, what I'm referring to is the bit where like the sister's like, hey, you were going out and sneaking around and doing all this stuff you shouldn't be doing, blah, 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 blah. All this stuff Mum wouldn't want you to know about. And then, like, literally just very shortly after that, she's like, oh, I need to take you to get some makeup done. And the mum shows up and is like, yes, it would be good.
Okay, calm down.
I'm not going to do the accents. She's like, yes, it would be good if you got some makeup done. And it's like, it sure is convenient that she was able to hear that statement so clearly, but none of the rest of it to make up any of it. Yeah, I know.
This is such a nitpick.
But there we go. That's my nitpick.
Your first one, I actually agree, because I was thinking, oh yeah, the scar. They really dropped that really quickly. It never comes up again, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get why it's in the movie, but yeah, I have 2 nitpicks and a lit pick. So my first nitpick is that the mobile phone joke just feels very like bad because it's 2002. Everyone's used to these mobile phones, or not used to them. Sorry, that's the whole point. They're not used to them, and it's like, oh, whose phone is it?
And a woman takes out her glasses case.
Yes, and it's just like, we've lived with mobile phones now for 20 years. That's not really an issue. I mean, I've never had that situation happen. I just think it's an unrealistic situation that people were projecting, oh, this is what's going to happen now when everybody's got a mobile phone. And it hasn't happened like that. Because people can tell if the noise is really close to them. Also, they in this movie, they use the insult cow too often. Like, I think 3 times someone calls someone else a stupid cow or something.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be doing that, for the record, if they were Hindus.
They would not.
They would be saying it as a compliment.
Oh, you stupid... Actually, you know what?
You sacred cow.
You're a sacred cow. Yeah,
like that's caused a lot of people don't know, most of the kind of controversy in terms of like the colonial ambitions of the UK and India came from that confusion.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the colonial was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to genocide them. It's just that they called my wife a cow.
That's Churchill's motivation.
Gerald, don't you know that that's a compliment here?
Okay, right. That's some great fan fiction. When India got invaded by the UK, this is what was said. Yeah. But anyway, Michael. So that's my 2 nitpicks, and my lit pick is that this is a very interesting fact, and I don't know why this was the case, but this movie was the first ever movie from the West to be shown in North Korea.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So North Korea's relations with the United Kingdom. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of it, an edited version of Bend It Like Beckham was broadcast on North Korean state television on the 26th of December 2010, which is, of course, Boxing Day. And it was the first ever Western-made film to air on television in North Korea.
That is like so interesting, because obviously the other thing is like this film deals with like a lot of kind of socially relevant issues.
Yes, and it's primarily about an Indian family. There's a lot of Indians that live in the UK and indeed in the West in general. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you learn a lot about South Indian culture or South Asian culture. Yeah, South Asian culture in this movie. And, if you were North Korea trying to get an idea of the West, it's not the best idea, I think, to show them a movie about, South Asian culture because, that's not really Western culture per se. But obviously, they're integrated into it, and it's part of our, melting pot, Michael. So,
Yeah. Do you think, I hate to say it, but do you think, because obviously the big thing everyone's thinking about with this film is that it would have upset the melanin cells.
Sorry?
The melanin cells.
I don't know what that is.
So basically it's a portmanteau of melanin, as in like the thing that makes somebody have darker skin pigmentation, and incels. And it's used to refer to like non-white men who are like triggered at the idea that like Asian women are attracted to white dudes. And like obviously like there's this dreamy, sexy white guy in this film. But like what I was thinking,
Michael, he's not white, he's Irish. There's a difference.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's fake white. But no, the thing is so my theory is like, what if this is intended to basically just kind of subtly, like the big plan of the UK is to just seduce all the North Korean women. So like showing them this, and I'll be like, oh wait, you mean we don't have to date Asian guys? We can date sexy white dudes, and then the UK is just going to show up with like all the handsomest, I don't know, British men, and I'll like come over there with their charming accents, and that's how we'll defeat the North Korean regime.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. But anyway, so let's get into this movie, Bend It Like Beckham. Just having a look at Wikipedia here, it says that the film received positive reviews from critics, with praise for the screenplay, light-hearted tone, and commentary on South Asian social norms and culture. And yeah, I think that is the case. It's not a comedy really. I mean, I'm looking at the poster here. It says, hilariously fresh and funny. This is the best British comedy since Bridget Jones's Diary. Wow,
okay, that's a funny one, yeah.
What a This is not better than Bridget Jones, basically. But that's the thing. It's not really a comedy. It doesn't really...
like Bridget Jones's Diary. Like surely that came out in the early 2000s or late 90s.
Well, yeah, So it's like.
So yeah, it's like exactly. Yeah. Hey, hold it. Do you want to know when Bridget? Do you want to know when Bridget Jones's Diary came out?
Was it 2001?
It was 2001.
Great.
So it was the best. Basically, it was just the best British comedy of that year.
The best British comedy since 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so Bend It Like Beckham, Michael. Bend It Like Beckham. Again, it's not really a comedy per se. It's got a light-hearted tone. It's got a very sweet and charming tone to it, particularly, the relationship.
It's kind of a dramedy.
Of course, it explores South Asian social norms and culture, which I'm willing to take a bet that before this movie, that wasn't really the case in like Western cinema at all. I'm willing to bet, South Asian norms had not been explored, and this was one of the first movies to really do it, and do it in a very good way as well, which of course we'll get into in the review. But yeah, obviously, time to read the description for the movie. So, Jess Barmer, the daughter of a strict Indian couple in London, is not permitted to play organised soccer. Wow, you can tell this is an American writing this, can't you, Michael?
Yes.
Damn Americans.
Even
even though she is 18. Did they actually mention her age in the movie?
No. Although actually, I happened to find out, because I was actually interested in like whether or not the actress had gone to do like any other kind of successful films. So I was thinking, I don't know why I brief word then. This seems like it would have been like a film that was quite successful. I was kind of thinking that, and I was like, based on that.
Well, it was for the white actress.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking like, did she do anything from that? And the short answer, by the way, is no. But also, she was born in 1975, meaning she was
she's
27. So she would have been 27 when this film came out.
Yeah, when it came out, 25 or 26 when she filmed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, and obviously, Keira Knightley had success after this.
Yeah.
She became one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. Not so much for who was the actress?
I didn't remember her name.
We don't even know her name. It was Parminder Nagra.
Yeah, also, this is kind of wild, actually. Keira Knightley was born in 1985. So, this is so crazy. Parminder... So wait, I am right about this. Yeah, I am right. That's crazy.
There's a 10-year difference between them.
Yes. So wow. Parminder Nagra is 10 years older than Keira Knightley. Parminder Nagra is 46. Keira Knightley's 37.
When Jess is playing for fun one day, her impressive skills on the football pitch are seen by Jules Paxton, who then convinces Jess to play for her semi-pro team. Jess uses... interesting. Semi-pro.
Yeah.
So that means, they're not fully professional, but they get paid a bit. So
yeah, which is pretty impressive to have got to that stage.
Well, she doesn't sign a contract. That's all I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
she has to ask. Doesn't she have to ask her mother for money? So I don't think she's getting paid. So yeah, I think it's definitely amateur. Anyway, Jess uses elaborate excuses to hide her matches from her family while also dealing with her romantic feelings for her coach Joe, which we will get into. That's great. Anyway, so yeah, basically, Michael, this movie touches on so many topics, and I guess this is why it's heralded as such a a good movie. Again, I don't want to say great because it's not a great, but I guess some people can say it's a great movie. But yeah, basically, it's a sports movie, but touches on all these topics, like of course racism, immigrant culture compared to non-immigrants in the UK, and of course specifically South Asian culture, women in sports, being gay or not being gay. People thinking
sexuality.
Sexuality, yes. And it's also a coming-of-age movie as well on top of that, with romance thrown in there as well. And, obviously the sports movie aspects as well. So yeah, it's that's the thing. I say it's a sports movie. What is a typical, I guess, formula for a sports movie, Michael? If you would like to say that. I'm
going to say it right now. A typical formula for a sports movie is that they would struggle with the sports to some degree.
Yes, so you're thinking along the same lines as me.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking that, I was surprised at the... I mean, sorry, I know I'm jumping ahead a bit, but when you have the bit where she misses the penalty, and it's the one hint of her actually not being good. But yeah, I was kind of aware of the fact...
Apart from when you actually see her kick a ball. No.
Yeah.
Obviously you're meant to think, wow, that's a great kick when she kicks a ball. But yeah, and the camera cuts to the ball flying in the back of the net. But that's the thing, she's really good at football, and that's the case right from the start. It's never a case of, normally in a sports movie, you have a person with raw talent and they come in and then they don't play so well, but then they get coached up, and then you have the inevitable, second act failure, at the end of the second act, and then they pick themselves up and they succeed at the end. That is a sports movie. This isn't the case because, like you say, Michael, the only real point where she fails is when she misses that penalty. She's great at the beginning. Like, her coach wants her immediately. She doesn't, she doesn't have any issues with not playing properly, a bad attitude. She gets in the team immediately, plays well in the final game. There's no question of, will she turn up? Is the pressure too much for her? So really, it doesn't follow the formula of a sports movie, does it? Like no. You said, yeah, that she doesn't struggle and then, reach her goals at the end of the movie, literally reach her goals or score her goals. When the pressure's on and nobody is thinking she's going to do it and then she pulls it out of the bag. No, it's not like that at all. It's like, she's very good throughout the movie, and it's basically everything going on in the background, which is interesting. Which is, I guess, a better way to do a sports movie because that struggle and then success is, of course, incredibly cliche, and this is not that. So that's better, I guess.
Yeah, and also I think they would have been overburdening themselves because I was kind of thinking that, like I was like when she did go to play, like I kind of already said, I was thinking like, are they going to do a thing where she has like a really bad match? But now I was thinking, I mean, honestly, how could they? Because like then they'd have to add that thing as well to deal with. Like, she can barely even go out to play. So having a whole thing where she also has to overcome not even being very good at one point would be, I think, way too much. Yeah,
I'm thinking even when her and Keira Knightley hate each other, they're still fucking scoring and assisting for each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're still fucking dominating. So it's not really that it's not really that kind of sports movie in any way of the stereotypical struggle, and then you find out they've harnessed their talents and become incredibly good and won whatever they're competing in. Of course they do win at the end, but it's again all the stuff going on in the background, which is why for a sports movie it's probably better than most.
No, I would agree. I think like doing something else with it. I mean, you like to say it's incredibly cliche, and it's obviously not just in football, but across most sports movies, it's a very typical kind of second act moment. It all goes wrong. So well done for avoiding that, I say.
Yeah, exactly. So of course there are still some tropes and cliches in here that are in sports movies, but that's the big thing, which is the formula to a sports movie that isn't in this movie. They tossed out that blueprint and they put something else in its place, which we'll get into. But Michael, is this? Okay, so obviously we're doing a bunch of 2002 movies in a row, and I'm going to reveal those movies right now, for our audience to get excited about, So there's 8 Mile, there's Die Another Day, there's Spider-Man 1, and then there's Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Out of all of those movies, what is the most 2002 movie?
Well, see, I was thinking like Spider-Man in a way. I don't know why, just because... But maybe it's just because it's like obviously one of the very kind of popular films, and it was like kind of the first big major Marvel film of 2000. Like it feels like the beginning of kind of an era.
Does it feel like 2002 when you watch the movie?
Okay, I kind of get you because like obviously you could say it doesn't seem that old. I mean, I can tell what you're thinking. Like obviously that the answer is Bend It Like Beckham.
I'm thinking the answer is Bend It Like Beckham.
Yeah, which I mean I can definitely see. I mean obviously like it would be a bit weird to say that Lord of the Rings Two Towers is the most 2002 movie, especially since it's literally followed either side by kind of two more maybe significant films on either year. 8 Mile obviously isn't. Die Another Day, not really. No, I mean the thing is like in terms of feeling like it was set in the era, definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
and I think that's of course because of the Beckham references. Not really references. Literally, he's in the title. But that's the thing. This feels like a very 2002 movie, more so than I'd say like Spider-Man, because that's kind of it's a classic, timeless movie. Spider-Man 1, in my opinion, which we'll get onto. This, it's like this is life in 2002. Like the cars, the houses, obviously the fucking footballers. It's so 2002, and also I feel like in general, I don't know if you feel this way. This was kind of a high point for Indian culture being represented in British media, or around this time at least. I don't know why, but it just feels like the Indians, they've just kind of fallen off the map in the UK.
Wait, let me check when Punjabi MC, and the other person I want to look into is Juggy D.
I don't know who those people are though, Michael.
Okay, well, the thing is, they're like quite big. There's also Jay Sean. But okay, so Juggy D was, he came onto the map in, 2004. Punjabi MC came onto the map in 2003. So actually, Luke, based on those two singers who I think are quite, even though you don't know them because maybe you don't listen to the BBC Asian network as much as some people, but I would say they were quite like major British Indian musical people.
Okay,
and so their big albums were 2003, 2004. So I guess I would agree early 2000s.
And there was an Indian person on the bill. The TV
yes,
show.
Of course.
Yes, which I remember seeing and watching.
Yeah. When did Dev first appear in Coronation Street? 1999. Okay.
Yeah, so around the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. I feel like the Indians have fallen off.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, they have in British culture. Yeah, for sure.
Am I allowed to blame Black Lives Matter?
Yes, you are. Because I was
okay.
I was thinking. Obviously, who's the new Doctor Who? I didn't know their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He is black, obviously, and I feel like 20 years ago, if Doctor Who wanted to make a non-white Doctor, they would have gone with an Indian. But now it's all the black people have kind of moved the Indians off the cultural step.
Well, I've been saying for a while that my pick for the next Doctor would be Romesh Ranganathan.
Yeah, but
because I'm a hero. I know, exactly.
It would have happened 20 years ago, Michael, not today.
Yeah,
not today.
Yeah, except I don't think it was famous 20 years ago.
I would just say like they were in the spotlight more.
Yeah, I this is my theory. Okay, it's because basically, obviously at the time we're at war with all the Muslims, right? So that's why all of these Indians, Punjabis, Sikhs were being kind of put out there to be like, hey, just so you know, there are brown people who don't want to blow us up. It's a pretty good message. It's like that's why they're all Sikh and Hindu, just so like, you don't have to be racist against all brown people.
So, Jasminda Jess Barma is the daughter of British Indian Sikhs living in Hounslow, London. God, that's such a place for people to live in London, Hounslow.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm Hounslow till I die.
Fucking Hounslow. And it's just like these, how come these boring London suburbs are famous? But I don't know, I just think it's ridiculous that I've heard of Hounslow.
Yeah, Matt Lucas is from Hounslow.
I shouldn't know. I should know he's from London or West London. Why do I know he's from Hounslow?
Well, now you do, and you didn't until a few seconds ago. And now I warrant you'll never forget that information.
Great. I know so many London boroughs. I know Islington. I know Stratford. I know Kensington. I know Lewisham.
What about Newham?
Yeah, I know Newham, Michael. I literally do. Name a London borough, Barnet. I know that one.
Croydon?
Of course I know Croydon. You know how I know.
Yeah,
Croydon.
I know. Yeah, okay, I'm actually going to admit something. Is Tottenham's a London borough?
Well, I don't know, but obviously I've heard of Tottenham.
Yeah, I wonder if it is.
Yeah.
Do you know how many London boroughs there are?
32.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I've heard of a lot of them. Hammersmith and Fulham. Oh my God, Chelsea. Wait, is Chelsea with Kensington?
What about Hackney?
I've heard so much about Hackney, man. How do I know?
And don't forget the upon Thames, Kingston upon Thames, Richmond upon Thames,
Tower Hamlets.
Tower Hamlets.
Why do I know Tower Hamlets?
Harrow, where the posh people live.
I've heard of Harrow.
Barking and Dagenham, where Dagenham and Redbridge live.
Of course, yeah. Feltenham.
Wandsworth.
Yeah, I've heard of Wandsworth. Was it Felton? That place next to Twickenham. There's another fucking Twickenham, and that's because of the rugby. Wimbledon, because of the fucking tennis.
Jesus Christ. What was it? Enfield, Harry Enfield.
I've heard of Enfield as well. Yeah, not because of fucking Wembley as well. There's another borough, I think.
Yeah,
because of the stadium, obviously.
Is Wimbledon a borough?
I don't know, but
probably. Why not? Let's assume it is.
Seems like it should be because they've got a football team and the whole tennis thing. So yeah. Anyway, Hounslow. I know where Hounslow is, and that depresses me. But I love what they do at the start with her having Jess actually play in a football match. Obviously, digitally edited in, and having the match of the day crew talk about her. With her fantasizing about playing for Man United in England. I think that's a really clever way to start things. I think that's pretty it's pretty unique, yeah.
And it reminds you how young Gary Lineker was. But he still had grey hair.
Also at least Jess wants to play for England and not India. I mean, what did Norman Tebbit once say? The most accurate statement, in history, really. You can be English if you support, the English cricket team. For instance, if you're from an Indian background and you decide to support the Indian cricket team, then you're not English.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's good that Jess, she assures all of us, the audience, that she is English because she wants to play for England. So that's great. So yeah, immediately the audience gets on her side, and I also, Michael, what team does Jess support?
She supports Manchester United.
And isn't that great? I love that. I'm a Man United fan, by the way.
Yes.
I am nostalgic about this time period when Man United were just so good that it was normal for a girl from London to support them and be a glory hunter. Like,
yes.
as it's just nobody insults her in the movie for, oh, how can you be a Man United fan? You're from Hounslow. Nobody cares. And isn't that beautiful? Because it's just accepted that this team, is so dominant that, hey, everybody's a Man United fan. How can you not be a Man United fan? I remember growing up around this time period, and of course so many kids were Man United fans, and not just from my area, which would make more sense. It was so fun to have people support this team, who lived nowhere near Manchester, but obviously, still lived in the UK. Because, for instance, for Jess, Arsenal is right on her doorstep, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
But not Chelsea at this stage because they didn't exist yet.
No, yeah. They were still waiting on Fulham to build that stadium before they made their move.
But yeah, obviously, she could have supported Arsenal. It could have been Bend It Like Henri, right? But it wasn't. It was Bend It Like Beckham. That's our pull, Michael. That's the pull of Manchester United. You can't beat it. Are you jealous?
Well, I just feel like at the end of the day, like Manchester United, they are kind of just like the generic football team, which,
yes.
In some ways is good. But on the other hand, you could say, does it rob them of a certain character? Because think about it, every other team has like something else unique to them. Like Arsenal's the sophisticated team that plays nice looking fancy football. Chelsea's the evil team. But Man United, they're just the good team. Isn't that kind of a boring thing to be?
Well, I mean, not really
anymore.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I guess like, yeah. Well, that's the thing. I guess that's the issue though, see? Because Man United became defined as the good team, now they have no identity.
No, we have a rich historic identity, Michael.
Whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Manchester United, yes, they are kind of generic, oh yeah, they're the best team, but crucially I think this is the allure of Manchester United is there because we have the biggest club stadium, and also we have the best history of any English team, apart from Liverpool in Europe, but that's
and as the fantastic comedian Michael McIntyre pointed out, you sound like a gay club.
We sound like a gay club. Yes, we do. Yeah, but it is a special club, Manchester United, genuinely. Not like Manchester City. Not like them at all. But I love that. The pull of Man United, it's great, especially around this time. This was peak pull of Man United because Liverpool weren't that good. Arsenal were decent, but they never had the dominance that Man United did. They never won a Premier League back to back. And Chelsea, didn't exist yet. Like I said, Man City hadn't been bought.
Of course, I don't know why I said this. Let's keep that in. Of course, right. The irony is that Arsenal has, of course, a very good women's team.
Yes, that is the irony. But yeah, we dominated. This was the peak era for Man United domination, and I'm so glad it's captured on film. I wish I could go back, man. Take me back to 2002, as we already have discussed, a great year where Man United were winning everything. Actually, they didn't win the Premier League in 2002, but either side did. And they were incredible. But I don't know why, but I feel like many Asians and black people who lived in London supported Man United as well. I think maybe and still do, of course. Maybe it wasn't because, maybe it was because they weren't tethered to a local team like the white fans, since their parents were immigrants. So therefore, they got to the UK. They supported the best team in the country with the most marketable star, which is Man United and David Beckham. Because they like football, they play football. Which team do I support? Oh, probably the best one, because obviously I don't have many roots here. That's my guess as to why. Because I think that is the case. A lot of black and Asian people in London, for instance, support Man United, and it's the ratio is higher than, say, white people, for instance. I just feel like that's the case.
No, yeah, I think that would make sense because obviously, they're not tied. I think that makes complete sense. Like if you've got the excuse of like you don't even have any kind of heritage
not an excuse.
Where you live. Okay, you got the reason that you don't even have any kind of heritage where you live, or in terms of like family origin. Yeah, you might as well just go for the best team.
Yeah, the best team, which is Man United. Or was
the most successful team.
Yeah,
I like making that arbitrary distinction between best and most successful.
Yeah. And we still are just. But anyway, how difficult is it to be an immigrant family, Michael, in a country like the UK? That is, of course, the central theme in the movie. Your parents don't treat you like your friends from school are treated by their parents, and you can't do things in life that you would like, and it is frustrating. But at least you complain about it on social media.
That is true. Yeah. You get to participate in the woke wars.
Immigrants. Not immigrants. Children of immigrants love doing that. Yes, they love. That's their favorite thing to do. Yeah.
No, yeah. It is. It's kind of. It's fun. How they are like that kind of. I guess it is like a bit of fish out of water thing, which feels a bit weird because it's like a whole family. So it's more like a school of fish out of water.
For Jess, it's like the dynamic is just frustrating. She can see, like, Jules, for instance, who, although her mum doesn't want her to play football, can easily play football, no problem.
Yeah.
And, she wants to be respectful, and she obviously loves her family, and she likes her Indian heritage, as the Simpsons joke suggests.
Yes.
But also, she's held back by it, and it's such a difficult dynamic.
Yeah. It reminds me of there's this really good film where a Muslim dad is dropping off his daughter at university and says to her, he says, "I know it's hard to see the way these people live, but this is not the right way to live. This is not pleasing to Allah."
Of course, the difference in that movie is she totally rejects her Muslim faith, and that horrible.
Yeah. So then, therefore, there's no balance.
Yeah. Again, it's not very good, because you would imagine people who are from, Indian backgrounds, again, would not want to just wholly reject their culture like that. They'd want to, respect it, and they would, want to participate, but all in their culture, but also, go on to do what they want to do, live their life and be happy, and it's that dynamic of you can't do that within this culture. But also, you don't want to leave it. You don't want to say fuck off to your family and just go and live somewhere else. You don't want to do that. So there's the fascinating dynamic, which again I think is quite relatable to a lot of kids of immigrant families, possibly.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Also the fact that she has a sister who is doing broadly what her parents want her to do, and why can't you be like your sister? Feels like it's maybe a very common situation for immigrant families. Or children of immigrant families to have. And obviously, the kind of movie where the kid the kid wants to do something that the parents don't want them to do, and you have the sister who can be held up as an example. But they don't really do that throughout the movie. The mother complains about both sisters.
Yeah, well, like the sisters, like it wasn't clear to me. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, actually, this is gonna sound bad, but it's not because I think Indian people look the same. It's because I didn't see them frequently enough to notice. Which is, the sister is sleeping around with someone. Is she sleeping around with the person she's engaged to? Or is she... Okay. I thought that was true. I just was like I say, the only reason why is because like you only see the guy for like one scene and he's like, so I wasn't quite sure. But okay, got you.
It shows. I think obviously you have at the end of the movie, and this is why this movie isn't disrespecting Indian culture or South Asian culture. It's saying, hey, you can achieve your dreams with this culture behind you and still respecting you, because of course at the end of the movie you have the sister who's called Pinky, by the way, or that's her nickname. She's celebrating getting married, and she's very happy with her situation. She's gone the traditional path that her parents would have wanted her to go down, and then you have her sister who's of course playing football, and doing something completely different to the traditional path, and they're both celebrating at the same time. They're both happy. It's like, you can go down either path. That's fine. It's fine if you don't want to be just a person who is breaking down barriers and going off to play football. If you just want to get married and be part of do what your parents want you to do, that's okay as well. And you can argue that message, maybe it's not so good to accept because there is obviously misogyny in South Asian culture. I don't think it's pushing the boundaries to say that, and you could argue, so you shouldn't really accept that. But I get the overall message. What the director is trying to say. It's like this movie is not a repudiation of South Asian culture. That is not what this movie is trying to do, is it?
No, yeah, and I definitely agree. And obviously, you do have the dad be like, well, I still want you to be happy, so do what you need to do to be happy. Garinda, definitely acknowledges that kind of balance.
Yeah, Garinda Chandha, it was the director. Yes. So that's what she's saying. It's not a repudiation of South Asian culture. It's just saying, hey, you can, if you want to do something else and not follow the traditional path, that's okay as well. So yeah, I understand that message, and it's done well, I think. But yeah, now on to the next question, Michael, I have, which is, does this movie know ball?
Yes. I mean, that's your question. Yeah, so I'm assuming, you kind of already hinted at this by saying, by suggesting that there's a lot of editing to avoid the fact that her football skills aren't actually that impressive.
Well, that's another thing in terms of are the footballing scenes good? The question is, does this movie actually know football? Because it's a different thing. You got the football scenes, but also the talk about football. And
yeah, so are you talking about the kind of the way the what are you talking about?
I'll give an example where I don't think this movie knows ball, and then I'll give an example of the movie knowing ball, I guess. So the example of the movie not knowing ball. So when Jess is in the park, and she's dribbling past all the boys, and one of the boys he said, "Oh, who do you think you are, Beckham?" Now, that
Beckham isn't much of a dribbler.
It makes me think this movie doesn't know ball, Michael, because Beckham wasn't known for his, incredible dribbling skills, mazy dribbling around people. He was known, of course, for his set piece skills. His
yeah. I mean, even I know that.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a mazy dribbler around that era, you'd go for like Ryan Giggs or maybe Henry, or if you're going outside England, maybe Zinedine Zidane. Gianfranco Zola as well. These names come to mind. So yeah, that's strike one against this movie, or I guess a yellow card. But the thing is, I do think this movie does know ball in some other aspects, because obviously what I like is Jasminda. How does she win the fucking tournament at the end of the movie?
You know what? This is going to sound bad, but like I'm struggling to remember the exact details of it.
What do you mean?
Like how exactly she wins the tournament at the end?
She scores a goal, right?
Oh well, that's okay. That's that simple. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I thought there was like something specific to it.
What type of goal is it?
Oh, sorry. It's a free kick.
It's a free kick,
which is obvious. Yeah.
And that is a reference. How would you end your movie called Bend It Like Beckham? You would
end it with a free kick, and she has to. Does she bend it?
Yeah, she kind of bends it around the wall. Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be very hard to replicate David Beckham free kick. Beckham had a very interesting style of free kick, a very unique style of free kick. Yeah. Which is very interesting if you ever want to practice doing it. I was just going to point out that Beckham's free kick is very interesting because you can curl the ball away from the goalkeeper to the side that he is standing on. He's very good at doing that because he can get a lot of spin on the ball, basically. But here's the thing, Michael. Jess is also a female playing football as well. She's not just an immigrant whose family doesn't really, or the child of immigrants whose family doesn't really understand this game of football. She is a girl, and of course this is relevant right now as England are playing in the Euro final later on this week against Germany. And yeah, the sexist attitudes that are displayed by the males in this film are so old-fashioned, aren't they, Michael? I am thankful you would never get someone disrespecting women's football today. Certainly not on a below-average podcast called The Pope is Gay.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be really horrible of them to do that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I obviously, yeah, like that's the thing. There's the line where Jules says it's not just an Indian thing. When's the last time that people showed up to support us playing football? So yeah, I guess like there's supposed to be a message about like people not supporting women's football.
There needs to be more support for women's football, exactly. And I've always said female footballers are as skillful or can be as skillful as the male footballers. Yeah, that's not a question.
And I just can't be as fast or as tall.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't need to go into that again, do we, Michael? Of course, let's talk about Jules Paxton now, Keira Knightley's character. Or let's talk about...
Oh, wait, I had one thing I wanted to say. I don't know if we've moved on from the female football entirely.
No, we're still talking about that.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, so basically she notices Jess' football skills, befriends her, and obviously the coach accepts her onto the team. And it is funny to hear Jules talk about how you can play professionally if you are a woman in America, but not in the UK. The whole dream of the movie is to go to Santa Clara to get a scholarship. Then you can play hopefully professionally in the United States once you go over there. And yeah, it's crazy how that was the dream of the movie, and now we have an England team playing in front of a sellout crowd at Wembley, like in the modern day, like 20 years later.
Yeah,
that I have to say, whatever your thoughts on women's football, that is really cool. To be honest, like that is. I think that's really cool. Like, literally, it's not like, it's so shit that we can't play in the UK. That's not really an emphasis on that. It's just like, you need to go to America. You can go to America. You can be a women's football player if you go to America. They can build new stadiums, and playing in the UK is just out of the question. Like on a professional level, like nobody sees it as an option. And then 20 years later, it's literally a sellout crowd at Wembley for the final of a women's Euros. That is, again, that's really special.
Let's give ourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah. Let's give ourselves, Michael, specifically as champions of women's football, a pat on the back.
Yes, as massive fans of it. I do want to say that I feel like in a way, the Jess kind of lets the side down a bit though, because she, like, her obsession with football, or her enthusiasm for football, is combined with her having a crush, like being infatuated with David Beckham. I was going to say David Beckham specifically.
Oh, David Beckham.
Not Joe. Oh. Yeah, just because like she's like, it's almost like, in a way, like I was kind of thinking about it, I was like, it's almost like it almost feels vaguely.
does she have a crush on David Beckham? Because
maybe
I have to admit, I did not get that. She's talking to David Beckham like he's her mentor. You know?
Okay, yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe actually I'm the sexist for assuming that just because she was what's the word I'm looking for? Like, admired him. Yeah. Admired.
Well, yeah,
him, I mean, therefore I assume that she was into him.
To be honest, it's not just you're a sexist, you're kind of stupid as well, Michael, because
aren't all sexists stupid?
Well, we'll get onto the gay stuff later, but at one point, Tony that's his name, I think, speaking to Jesse about David Beckham, and, you know, Jess says, oh yeah, how can you not like Beckham? Obviously, I like Beckham. How can you not like Beckham? And then he goes, no, I really like Beckham.
Ah, yeah,
so you can see the different levels of how much they like them, you know. Jess, it's just, I admire his talent, you know. No, because Tony doesn't go, no, I also really like Beckham, you know. He doesn't say that.
That is a good point, actually. So, yeah, I realise now that I was a fool.
Yeah, and again, on to women's football, the final point, you know, I want it to succeed, Michael, you know, because it gives joy to millions of people, you know. Clearly it does. You know, I just don't care that much about it, but you know what, hey, you know, if people are going to watch the final on Sunday, and
yeah, that's my take. I want it to succeed.
Yeah, people are going to watch the final on Sunday. They're going to have a great time. What's to hate about that? So you know, that's why you'll never find me doing an Alan Sugar on Twitter, Michael. But anyway, Jill's mother, Michael. Did you like her character?
I thought, I mean, she's obviously very funny. I guess she's like she's like a kind of a womanly woman.
She is such a ridiculous character. Yeah, I saw Kevin with the blonde girl, and they weren't talking about match of the day. Like, yeah, she's kind of a comic relief, really. Just this ridiculous character. I do like the dynamic with the dad being supportive of Jules and the mother isn't. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing, which is always kind of interesting. The way that and you know, I guess it applies to other kind of marginalized groups, but the fact that often women will be like the biggest. Well, you know, I was gonna women in general are marginalized. I was gonna say that obviously that sometimes women will be the biggest pushers for kind of gender stereotypes and and then obviously a lot of the time you'll get men who'll be like, no, you know, she could be one of the lads. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, and yeah, she also says Sporty Spice is the only one without a fella. Is that implying Sporty Spice is a lesbian? I don't know. Is she a lesbian?
Yeah. You know what? I think I actually remember hearing she is, but I think that was probably from people who were just lying.
Okay.
Melanie C.
Okay. Well, you know what? I can't remember 2002 well enough, you know.
But definitely, I mean, the thing is, so Sporty Spice was perceived, I think, to be the least attractive of them, which is actually it's like an Ali G joke, because it's like
she's black. Yeah.
Well, no, you're thinking of Scary Spice, actually. Sporty Spice.
Oh my god, is that racist of me to assume Sporty Spice was the black one? Actually, you know what? Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's more racist to have Scary Spice be the black one.
Actually, you know, that's what I was going to say. Why is the black one scary? That's actually worse. You know?
I know, yeah. Well, it's all weird, but no, yeah, because there's a joke in Ali G where he's talking to Victoria Beckham, and he's like, "Oh, is it true that do you think it's the more good looking the Spice Girl, the better the football player that she's with? So obviously you're the sexiest Posh Spice, and you're with David Beckham." And then he said something about oh, does that mean that Sporty Spice dates someone from Dagenham and Redbridge or whatever?
Yeah, Ali G, really, he was a funny guy back in the day. You know, I also do talking about Keira Knightley, by the way. One of the main points in the movie is, hey, you know, just let women play football. You know, don't judge them by their looks. You know, don't judge them by you know, whether they're with a man or not. You know, like Jules's mum tries to do. That's all she's interested in. Just let them play football. You know, that's what you should judge Keira Knightley on. And he just, in every scene, Keira Knightley just out there looking like a fucking supermodel. You know, like in literally, you know, every scene. Of course, that's what she is in real life. I just like that with her oh yeah, no, she's a footballer. Don't objectify her. Which of course I'm not saying you should objectify Keira Knightley.
But she is good looking. And the film makes a point, you know, very much plays into her good lookingness.
Yeah, that is the case. Yes, the film definitely exploits that. I will say, you know, they didn't have to cast literally someone who was probably voted at some point the world's most sexiest woman. I'm guessing, you know, at some point she probably held that title or was close to that. But anyway, are the football scenes good now, Michael? Let's move on to that. You know, I would say not really.
No, yeah.
And the main issue is the actors. They can't play football. I mean, Keira Knightley, she can kick a ball, but I don't think she can actually, you know, pass properly or, you know, shoot. From here's the thing, you have a lot of shots of I think in general it's very hard to hide if you can't play football. I think when it comes to sports movies, football is probably the most difficult to film because you can tell when they kick a ball that this isn't how you strike it properly. They a lot of the times they use their foot like a golf club, if you can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, well, that's what that's what they do in the movie. If you imagine,
yeah. I wasn't really paying that much attention, but I can imagine the idea of using a foot like a golf club instead of how it should be used.
Yeah, instead of like naturally kicking it, and there is a lot of cutting as soon as a ball is kicked. Like a ball is kicked, and immediately we get a cut.
Yeah. I bet like the golf club thing comes from the fact they probably did like multiple takes, because I imagine that's like because I imagine you would kick it differently if you're kind of within the flow of like. Actually playing the game, whereas I imagine a lot of the time like they were just like stood still and I was just like, okay, do a take, and I was like kicked it kind of. I don't know, maybe I'm making it up.
I think you've got the technique or you don't. Like, you know how to kick a ball properly or you don't. That's the thing. It's not just like female footballers. You can tell when sometimes you play with men who they kick a ball and it's like, oh yeah, you can't really play. Like you don't really know how to play. Like back in the day when I used to play with people in school, it's like, oh yeah, as soon as someone kicks a ball, you can tell whether they know how to play football or not. And unfortunately, the actresses in this movie, that is not the case. But yeah, so again, it's not really a great sports movie in that sense. The football scenes aren't good.
Yeah.
Which I guess probably going into the movie I probably expected. But yeah, it's again that's the case.
Yeah, I mean the good news is they don't take up like a massive. I think obviously they take up more time in the film goal.
Yes, and crucially, that's not the point of the movie, is it?
Yeah.
Crucially, as we went through at the start. But yeah, let's talk about Joe now, Michael, the coach. This guy may be the worst football coach I've ever seen. I don't know. He just like every time he has the girls training, they're just doing like sit-ups or running or just like jogging through cones or whatever.
Yeah, I noticed that. They didn't do any actual football with them.
Yeah, I know. It's like, when he's training them, we hardly see him actually like running drills. Like, that's a pretty important part of football, and they seem like, that's the thing. You do all these like training sessions. Like
he's going to have like the fittest squad that can't play football.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do these like fitness sessions at the start of a year, really. And it seems like they've been playing for a while. I don't think it's the best thing to do. But whatever. I guess what? Hey, maybe it's really smart from him because he gets to see the girls, in their bras doing like push-ups and jumping. Maybe or sit-ups really. Yeah, maybe he's maybe he's playing the long game there, Michael. Maybe. What do you think?
No, yeah. I mean, well, I like to think that he has somewhat honourable intentions, but I definitely do agree that he, I mean, to be fair, he's pretty quick as soon as he has the opportunity to make his move on Jess. So, it does suggest it's somewhat suspicious.
Yeah, maybe that goes to, either he's a shit coach or he's a pervert. He's one of the two. And maybe the fact that he goes on to Jess so quickly, it is the latter.
Shall I mention the fact that he claps weird?
Please do.
Yeah, at the end he kind of like claps like, I don't know, like it's kind of like his like he keeps his like hands and his like forearms in like the same line, so it almost seems like, I don't know, it's a very weird clap.
Okay. That's great. I love how you noticed that and didn't put it as a nitpick. That's great.
I know, yeah, I thought it was worth bringing up now. Also, shall I bring up the fact that like he does kind of show the other side of the coin too, like, because obviously it's like how the women football, like they're not like, obviously both of the women in this film are like kind of dissuaded from playing football because it's
Society
not feminine enough.
Doesn't want them to, Michael.
Yeah, whereas of course Joe's backstory is that he played himself to the point of injury because he wanted to show how tough he was for his dad. So it shows kind of the flip side of the coin and what they might call in the business toxic masculinity. Because he wanted to keep up with the standards of masculinity, he actually injured himself.
Yeah. The what did you say? The double-sided coin of football or whatever?
Yeah. So I definitely use the phrase double-sided coin.
That's good. No, it's a good phrase because it works. Yeah, like how one group of people, women, they can't really play even though they want to, and men who are expected to play. I mean, he clearly still loves football, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't be a coach. But yeah, how he's just expected to play through his injury. Like I noticed a couple of times he's like he runs quite a bit. Like he's quite a mobile guy. He like jumps over the barriers and like at the end he's running around the cricket stumps. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. What's your injury again, pal? You sure?
Oh, see, he's just claiming disability benefits behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, you make a good point. I'm going to make another stupid point. He looks like a model, like especially when he turns up. He turns up to Jess's house with like two of his shirt buttons undone, like his top. Yeah, and it's just like, oh yeah, definitely this guy's a football coach and not a fucking model. Yeah, again, I mean, I think if they wanted to make the movie a bit more realistic, they wouldn't have cast Keira Knightley and this guy who, clearly, he's he knows what he's doing.
No, yeah, definitely. I do agree. Like he is a very good-looking guy, objectively speaking. He's got like really, I guess what they call in the business, dreamy eyes.
Yes,
like they're kind of like light blue, and you just can't help but just stare into them.
Yeah. I don't want to be sexist here. That's the last thing I'd want to do. But imagine if like some female, like, some girls got inspired. I want to be like a female footballer as well. And because then I'll get to fall in love with my sexy male head coach, and it's just like 45-year-old Brian who's like overweight. Who's like smoking.
Yeah, and like, wait, that's what a football coach looks like?
Yeah, that's the standard football coach, yeah, the fucking Sean Dyche look, yeah. Anyway, Michael, let's get into some frustrating, I will say, tropes in this movie, because you mentioned it, I alluded to it before. So, obviously, they go to Germany, Jess and Jules. I just realised all three of the main characters, their names...
have names start with J.
That's stupid. What? Yeah,
it is weird.
Jay, like, come on, lads. Anyway, so they all go to Germany, and the Harriers lose after Jess fails to score a penalty kick. But they go out clubbing in Hamburg anyway, and Jules catches Joe and Jess about to kiss, and this sours the two girls' friendship, and because Jules is also attracted to Joe. So here's the thing, Michael. Here's the thing. This movie about girls playing football and smashing stereotypes has a love triangle. Where the two girls are attracted to the same man. Okay, I can accept that perhaps, but it's their fucking coach, like their male coach. Like, I'm sorry, you didn't see that as an issue. I'm like, girls can play football too. Oh, but pair them with a male coach, and the two main characters will both fall in love with him and want to be in a relationship with him. Didn't you find that a bit weird, Michael?
No, yeah, definitely. It's like it, and also, like I say, it doesn't really add as much. It was unnecessary for the actual story, because like it kind of just it felt like the moment where the film kind of got unnecessarily kind of cliche,
melodramatic.
And, I mean, I also agree with you that it's very problematic. I feel like there was a better word I was going to use, but whatever. I'm just going to stick with that word then, because
I don't know. It feels dissonant. That's the word.
Dissonance. That's a good word for it. Yeah. It is weird, because obviously, like I said, I was wrong to allude to David Beckham, but maybe part of it is because I was thinking about obviously the fact that this is there as well.
Yes.
And obviously having the two fall out over a guy. It's very. What do they? Do you know about the Bechdel test?
Yeah, of course.
It's basically okay. Yeah, I assume you would, but basically it's kind of obviously this isn't entirely
this movie. I think
they have conversations, but it definitely does pass. But having like the two, that feels like the kind of thing the Bechdel test would generally not approve of.
And I think it's okay to have a love triangle, because if you want to add some drama, I get that. It's just that it's over their coach, like their male coach.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, if women get involved in football and they have a male coach, well, obviously they're going to fall in love with him. I just think that is, just shit, and it goes against like one of the movie's messages. That's why it's dissonant. And I think it's a bad thing to put in this movie. I don't think it's a good idea. How do they resolve this feud between Jess and Jules?
Well, they sort of don't, do they? It seems like basically, I mean, like it seems like it's kind of just like Jules just accepts not to get with Joe, and then Jess is just like, yeah, okay, in that case, I'm going to get with him.
She goes over to Jess's house, does Jules, and she's still, Jules is still angry at her. Yeah, not the best acting from Keira Knightley on that scene, I will say, but yeah, she's still angry at her. And then when she turns up to play for them in the final of the tournament, she's happy to see her. Like they hug and like kiss.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's why Jules' mum thinks she's a lesbian. But yeah, that's how they resolve it. She just turns up and he's like, oh yeah, I'm happy. It's all good. Even though she obviously still wants to get with Joe, and obviously she didn't. She still would probably be pretty mad at that. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Definitely. I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense.
It wasn't really necessary, Michael. Like you say. It goes against the movie's one of the movie's messages, and also, it doesn't have a good conclusion, really. I like this, by the way. Jess's parents find out she's still on the team by seeing a newspaper article about the Hamburg match. It's like the third time in the opening 50 minutes that Jess's parents find out about her playing football and forbid it.
I'm glad you're bringing it up because I found that to be really ridiculous too. Like that's one of the kind of first negative notes I wrote. Like I was just like, this is kind of just getting a bit repetitive. Like they just find out and then they forbid it, and then she does it anyway. They find out, they forbid it, she does it anyway. It happens quite a lot.
It happens 4 times and almost 5 times at the end when she says she's going to America.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's the one. It really is a one-trick pony for progressing the plot. This movie. Have Jess secretly sneak off to play football. Her parents catch her somehow, and the parents are really dumb as well. Like they're strict Indian parents. They get fooled so much. Like, oh yeah, she's sick. When she's clearly.
Yeah, I was thinking that about the sick thing. Yeah,
and then the boots. Like she buys a pair of boots, and they're just like, oh, return these immediately. Not wait. Why do you need a pair of football boots if you've given up playing football? Yeah, unfortunately, the plot progression ain't great with that because they just do that over and over again. But let's talk about the sexuality, Michael, or as you put it, I think more succinctly, the gay stuff.
Yes, the gay stuff. So here's the thing. Okay, I want to say this. This is my thing, right? Like we've already mentioned the whole love triangle thing, and it's funny because when I was watching this film, I kept thinking to myself, is Keira Knightley a lesbian? Because like the thing is, so when I say when I was watching it, I mean like when I first started watching it, because I'd seen this film when I was a kid. I was watching it again, and obviously the Keira Knightley stuff is introduced, and I was thinking to myself early on, I was like, does this film, like, do they have a lesbian relationship? I was like trying to remember, and I was like, I felt like I would remember if they had a lesbian, and then of course it was revealed that actually there's like the lesbian relationship fake out, and I thought to myself, because the thing is, they then reveal that there is a guy who is gay, there's a gay guy in the film, and I did kind of think to myself, why not just have, if you're going to have a same-sex attracted person in the film anyway, and also you're going to introduce, and you're going to have a whole thing about Jules being a lesbian, and you're going to have a whole thing about a love triangle, it would not have been more efficient just to have Jules be a lesbian. Like, it would have worked fine.
Well, I'll get into that, Michael, because... Okay. Right, so obviously...
And I want to stress, I'm not just getting excited about the idea of Keira Knightley being a lesbian.
Great. So obviously, Jules' mother is a bit homophobic, I think it's fair to say. And obviously Jules, she drags her mother away, clarifying that her relationship with Jess is not, sexual. They're just friends, they're not in a relationship. And obviously she says that line like, just because I wear tracksuits and play football doesn't mean I'm a lesbian. And that's the thing, the message in this movie, it's not like, oh, it's okay to be a lesbian, even though it doesn't say it's not okay. The message is, don't assume people are lesbians, if you see a woman playing football, don't assume she's a lesbian, which is basically, like, oh, straight girls can like sports too. Yeah. It's
almost like, in a way, it's almost kind of tacitly entertaining the idea that it would be bad to be a lesbian, which
it doesn't do that, but that's the thing.
By being like, oh, she's not, it's almost like, don't worry guys, she's not actually a lesbian.
Yeah, and I think it's fine to be like, oh yeah, just because you play sports and you're a girl, you're not a lesbian. Of course, that's stupid. But that conversation in the car after Keira Knightley says, just because I wear tracksuits doesn't mean I'm a lesbian. Like, what should then be said is, and even if I was, like, who cares? Yeah, like who cares? Like if I am, it needs to be followed up with there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, because that's the thing. The mother is like happy in that scene. It's like, oh, well, thank God she's not a lesbian, eh? Oh, we can.
Yeah, there is a funny bit about the mum's reaction, which I did find funny, which is a bit where she's like, oh, I've got nothing wrong with being a lesbian, or there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. And it's like, obviously she did think, because it's like, I can't remember what it is, which basically says like, oh, I wouldn't mind really. It's just, I was just a bit concerned or whatever. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's kind of the classic, like, it's also seen in The Simpsons where Marge finds out that Patty is a lesbian, where you have somebody who's like ostensibly, I guess, like gay / lesbian affirming, and then when it's somebody in their personal life who is lesbian or gay, suddenly they're like critical about it or creeped out, which I do think is like kind of, it's nice to see that particular kind of, I guess, facet of the prejudice accurately portrayed.
She wins though. She doesn't learn a lesson.
Yeah, that is true. No, definitely. That's it.
She does not learn a lesson. It's like, I thought my daughter was a lesbian. Oh, thank God she's not a lesbian. Thank God. And and there we go. There's not a message with like, wait, no, Jules, Keira Knightley should have stepped in and be like, who the fuck cares if I was? Like, it's it's ridiculous to think that. So the movie doesn't say, oh, being a lesbian is bad, but the messaging is like, hey, look, don't, just because a woman plays football, don't you dare think that she's a dirty, disgusting lesbo. Yeah. I
mean, and also, again, see, the thing is, again, that is another problem which would have been solved by Jules just being a lesbian, because it kind of like, it almost feels like, in a way, like that at some point the logic would have been, because here's the thing, like when they have kind of the disagreement and like Jess goes to kiss Joe and what's her face is really angry, Jules is really angry about it. I was like, it was so obvious to me, like I was thinking, are they going to set up a scene where Jules says like, Jess is like, I'm sorry, I know you're angry, I didn't realize you liked him, and then Jules says, I didn't like him, I liked you.
Yeah.
Like as in, and like that would be the reveal. And then the thing is, later on you get this scene, of course, as you already mentioned, of the gay guy saying, "Oh, I like David, like I really like David Beckham." And it's like you kind of, it almost felt to me like I was like, it seems as if they took a scene that could have worked just as well for Jules, and instead just given it to this random Indian guy. Yeah,
I guess the message the director wanted to display is, what Keira Knightley says, just because I'm in tracksuits doesn't mean I am a lesbian. And that's...
Yeah. Do you think maybe this director had been accused of being a lesbian? So she was like, I need to make a film so everybody knows I'm not a lesbian.
But again, you could argue, like, then it would be a stereotype if she was a lesbian. So yeah, look, I understand what she's going for, but probably the better message is, if Jules was a lesbian. But that's the thing, of course, you talked about, Tony, Tony's gay as well. They don't really do anything with that except recognise...
No, yeah.
They recognise that it will be bad if Tony's gay... I put gayness. I don't know.
It's a gayitude.
Gayitude is revealed, and it would be bad, for him. But I guess it's just like, well, that's swept under the rug. Like there's no resolution for him, and there can't be. While he's in this fucking family. Obviously, if he ever revealed he was gay, he'd be ostracized. So I just think with Tony, I came away thinking, oh yeah, he's probably gonna have a pretty shit life, and the director just doesn't deal with that. So yeah, it's I do think it's a case of, look, the movie is trying to say something, but it would have been a better message if it did say, oh yeah, being gay is actually fine and you should accept people for being that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the director wanted to focus on the fact that just because you play football doesn't mean you're a lesbian. Although like you say, that could mean there's it could imply, I don't think it does, but it could imply like, oh yeah, there's something wrong with being a lesbian, because again, the overall message should be, just because you play football and you're a woman doesn't mean you're a lesbian. But even if that is the case, there ain't nothing wrong with that. But obviously the movie doesn't go that far. So Michael, let's talk about racism now.
Yes.
So yeah,
did you know that the Irish were persecuted too?
So obviously, yes, Jess is mocked on the football pitch by an opposing player, and Joe's hugging her afterwards and comforting her. We get, like you alluded to, the best line in the movie. Jess says she was called the first four letters of the country Pakistan, and then says, you don't know what that feels like. Joe replies that yes, he does know what what that feels like because he's Irish.
Yes,
I laughed at that.
Great, I laughed at it too. It's so funny.
Yeah, because I was like, I was expecting him to be like, sorry, no, I don't, you're right, I'm sorry, to comfort her like that. And like, but you still can't react like that, even though it's not really the best message, but it would be more understandable. But then I was like, what's he saying? Yes, I can. What? And then he goes, yeah, I'm Irish.
It's literally like, see, I was always wondering why this film was so popular in America, because they're not really into sports, and then I realized, it's all of the white people in America who are so happy to see their belief that being Irish means they're as oppressed as like people of color. Yeah, look, I get it that Irish people probably had a hard time, especially in the 90s in the UK, but it doesn't come, I think, close to what South Asian people experienced in that same decade, and yeah, even today, of course. But yeah, obviously, like, it's a ridiculous line, and I think I saw it on Twitter once, like, just out of context. Like, remember this line from Bend It Like Beckham? And I think when I heard that line again, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. That's funny, because it's the delivery as well. It's the lead up, because you do not expect him to say that. You expect him to go, oh, yeah, you're right. I can't understand that, Jess. To empathize with her, not literally. Well, wait, what's the difference between sympathize and empathize, Michael? Well, I feel like empathize is like more like you put yourself in the other person's shoes. So yeah, empathize basically means like, I know how you feel, whereas I feel like sympathize means more like, I'm imagining how you would feel.
So yes, you expect her to you expect him
to sympathize,
sympathize, and then he empathizes with it. It's just a brilliant moment. I love that moment. But yeah, obviously there is some more stuff about racism, because Mr. Barmer, Jess's dad, doesn't want Jess to play football because he doesn't want Jess to suffer the way he did when he was excluded from a cricket club because of anti-Indian sentiments. They made fun of his turban and everything. And and that theme of, racism still is there in sports, and it can maybe prevent like immigrant families from letting their kids participate in sports, of course, because they're afraid of racism, and I can understand that completely. I can totally understand that, and of course, the scars of racism would still exist, and obviously it's not as bad for Jess, but yeah, she still gets racially abused, and no doubt back in the day and still today that would be the case. Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, obviously the race stuff. I mean, the dad talks about kind of his race experience, which obviously is definitely more, I guess, recent. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's kind of more in the background, I guess, because obviously the film. I don't know. Sorry, I assume you haven't mentioned this yet. Where the mum is like kind of subtly racist, subtly racist. Yeah. Like it's not really. It's kind of like the I guess they call it in the business now microaggression, but kind of like the
I made it like with curry.
Yeah. It's kind of the inoffensive but inappropriate comments that like kind of well-meaning white people will say. And she's like when she says she's Jess, she's like, oh, Jess.
Yeah.
That's not an Indian name.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, again, people who haven't really come into contact with Indian people before, or they just know white people and are insensitive like that. Yes. Obviously, getting on to the end of the movie now, Michael. The Harriers qualify for the final of the tournament, but in the final game, with an American scout in attendance, it is to be held on the same day as Pinky's wedding. Wow, what a coincidence. That's the thing, we talked about, it disregards some sports tropes, from the struggle to success, but that is definitely a very big trope. It's like, the game's on the same day as this wedding,
Yeah, like an important event. I mean, isn't it, I just realized, it's literally like in American Pie when the guys... I
was literally thinking that,
the guys, like, what is it, like lacrosse?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, lacrosse tournament is like interrupting the freestyle jazz tournament.
I don't
and he has to show up.
I don't think it's the freestyle jazz tournament.
Well, it's like kind of like a cappella singing thing, isn't it?
I mean, that's completely different to...
from freestyle jazz.
A cappella singing, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking it's kind of like funky music. Like, I can't remember any of the songs they sing, but yeah, and then he shows up and it's like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's a trope, and then of course Jess, she knows she's going to miss the game because she values her family, but she's sad, and then of course one of her parents relents and she helps the team win. And again, the only way it could be more cliche if she did something on the pitch that she had been failing to do until that final moment, and she did it. But yeah, they don't do that, of course, as we've discussed. Yeah. And also, the wall, of course, in the free kick, it's a metaphor, I guess, for the limits of her culture. And she's trying to get past those limits. She's trying to... It's
the second best, or it's the best wall metaphor in film since Pink Floyd.
Great, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a nice touch. And yeah, obviously, like we've talked about, she's replicating Beckham with the free kick. And yeah, the issue is at, obviously, Pinky's wedding, that Jess is miserable, and that's why her father tells her to go to the game. But he seemed to want her to stay and not let her go. Like, he seemed very firm. And then randomly, like, he just relents,
Well, yeah, like his logic seemed to be like, oh, I want you to seem happy for the wedding, which I guess so it's kind of like, I guess his logic is like he still doesn't want her to be a football player, but he's like, well, if she's just going to sit here being miserable at the wedding, that's really not that much better than her actively basically not being here. So it's like, well, if I let her go and then she comes back, she'll be happy. He's playing the long game.
I know, but it's just like a massive switch, like on a dime, and
it's also interesting that it's the father again who's being the more kind of supportive one.
That is interesting, I guess. So when he was talking with her coach the night before, obviously Joe, I think it would have been better if he cracked a little bit and talked about maybe how proud he was to see her play football, but he doesn't. He just like sticks to the line. No, she's not going. She it's best if she stays, and he doesn't even show a little bit of coming over to Joe's side, and so that's why the flip seems so. I think so over.
It's also weird how like him going to the football match kind of doesn't seem to actually crack him that much. Like he goes to the football match, watches it, and then it's like you kind of feel like he might as well not have even done that.
That's what, honestly, when he's having that conversation with Joe the night before the match, I thought that's what he was going to bring up.
Yes, exactly.
I thought that was the perfect setup. To be like, oh, I saw her play and I was so proud of her and she's really good. And he does say that, but then still goes no. But she can't go. She has to be there for her sister's wedding. She can't go at all. And obviously, that doesn't happen. And I think it was set up. It was right there in front of them, but they didn't do that. And yeah, obviously, at the end we've got a bunch of Indian people dancing with her music. And did you like when the photographer was fighting with the?
Yeah. Because like I guess he filmed them like banging. That's my only assumption. Because like they were like I think it was the guy who was doing the banging. I will say Indian weddings look pretty fun.
They do look fun. That is the case. I can see why they love getting married.
Yes.
They do look fun. And yeah, after the wedding, obviously Jess tells her family about the Santa Clara scholarship, and Jess's mother ignores Jess's heartfelt speech and scolds Jess's father for letting Jess leave Pinky's wedding. But her father announces that he doesn't want Jess to suffer like he did. And yeah, again, it's a very nice moment at the end. Of course, his father plays cricket too. Like, he's getting over the racism that he suffered. And yeah, it's a nice message, at the end. Like, like the father realizes that, I've got to make sure my children are happy. And yeah, like, I think the overall message from Jess's perspective is, you can't always go along with what your family wants. You need to make your own life, and she understands that. But crucially, at the end, what she does say is, like, I don't want to hide this from you anymore. I want you to embrace it. And that's a crucial thing in this movie, that she also wants her family to support her, and she doesn't again want to just get rid and say fuck off to her family and leave them. She doesn't want that, and that is kind of I don't know if it's more nuanced, but it seems like a better message overall than just the standard. Oh no, I've got to leave my family; they're holding me back. I've got to go on to greener pastures, because you still, as a human being, would want your family to support you. So yeah, I like that at the end. That's the that's what is highlighted in her speech. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything to say on that?
Well, I kind of do just agree. But I think it was a very good ending, and I liked that. I liked again, that kind of balance.
Balance, good word. Yeah.
Yes, balance, perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And I like how the dad and the father are playing. Sorry, the dad and father, Joe and the dad are playing cricket at the end. Like, how cute.
Yeah, they're playing cricket. Yeah, and the thing about Joe not being ready, because I was thinking, like, when she rejects Joe at the pitch, I was like, well, that's not really a great message. That no, I can't be your girlfriend because you're white. That's not the best message. But then he sees her at the airport, and she's like, okay, we'll build up to that. That I think that was a much better way to end it. And of course, David Beckham's in this movie. Michael, he makes a cameo.
Yes, he does. Yeah, and it's like kind of a clever joke, because it's like it distracts him entirely from the kissing.
Yeah, of course, it wasn't actually David Beckham, but
you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't kind of think about it. I kind of just assumed that when you said it was.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, just because, like, I mean, like, they got other football players, and I could see them being like, hey, is it okay if you show up? And you're like, oh, you're making a whole. Hey, I can't. He's got a really funny voice. So I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Can you do a good bit of David Beckham?
Yeah. I'm looking here. So.
Because basically, I was gonna say, like, he's like, oh, you're doing a whole film named after me. Yeah, I'll be happy to show up to walk for a bit. That was my thoughts.
Yes. I'm looking here at the critical response. I imagine David Beckham had to react to this movie, but I can't see it here, so I can't be bothered to look it up. So anyway, let's.
So what you're saying is we'll never get to hear your David Beckham impression?
Yes, there are some interesting actually comments. Well, I can't do his accent really. It's just like Cockney.
Yeah, but he's like, he hasn't got like a high pitched kind of squeaky voice. That is true, isn't it?
Bend it like Beckham. Surprise.
Bend It Like Beckham was the best film I've ever seen. I really liked it.
It surprised critics. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times noted that the film was really full of easy humour and the applicable sense of milieu. It is a result of knowing the culture intimately enough to poke fun at it while understanding its underlying integrity. That's David Beckham.
Beautiful.
Reading a review. And I agree with that, by the way, from Kenneth Turan. Anyway, let's conclude. Michael, you go first.
Yeah, this film, I mean, like I said at the beginning, I mean, I kind of called it competent, which maybe was a bit kind of underselling it. It is a, like, in terms of a melodrama and indeed a kind of dramedy, it does have basically everything you would want. Like I kind of already said, all the characters are well defined, and the dramas are they're quite simple, but in a way which I don't think works to the kind of detriment of what you would want the film to be. Could it be better? Yeah, definitely. And in some places it definitely gets unfocused, and I think it could have been a little bit tighter. I think maybe the sports stuff could have been a bit more kind of competent and well done and engaging. So overall, I would say it's a mixed bag, but slightly better than average. So middling 6, I'm gonna say.
Okay, so you're only giving it a middling 6 then.
Because I'm a racist.
Yeah, I think a 7.5 is fair. I think a 7.5 is fair. So yeah, a middling 7 for me. And yeah, I like what the Times of India says about, by the way. It's really about the bending of the rules, social paradigms and lives, all to finally kill that ball, bending it like Beckham through the goalpost of ambition. Yeah, and that's true. Obviously, the title is Bend It Like Beckham, but that's the thing. It's not like breaking the social paradigms. That's true. It's not breaking it, it's bending it. Like how, at the end of the movie, obviously, Pinky, it says in this Planet Bollywood review that Pinky is in a sexually active relationship, but she still marries and has a kid, and it goes into the traditional lifestyle. So I'm not sure that's true, but it says Jess's urge to break the social norm of Indian homemaker. But that's the case. She it says break here. I don't agree with that. She wants to still stick with this I guess social norm, but she wants to kind of just bend it to her will, I guess. Like she still wants to be part of this family, she still wants to be part of this culture, she still likes her heritage and everything, but she wants to just bend it in her direction for a bit so she can do what she likes. And so I didn't consider that, so I like the title of the movie even more now. I think that works very well. Yes. I like this. Mr. Beckham ought to be proud to have his name on such a great film. That said Jamie Russell.
That is really funny because it's just...
he really didn't do anything. Anyway, so I think 7.5 out of 10 is fair. And Michael, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week we are doing another film about somebody struggling to make it in a particular kind of culture and an area of life based on their race. Of course, 8 Mile.
8 Mile.
Yes.
Yeah, the best movie about a rapper ever. So join us next week for that. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Goodbye.